Good morning, everyone. There was once a young man who felt lost in life. He was different from others, set apart. He struggled with doubts, questions, and even suffering. But over time, he realized something profound. The very struggles he faced were not punishments, but signs that he was called for something greater. Many of you here today may feel the same way. You may not realize it, but God's anointing is already upon you. You are set apart. And today I want to share 7 signs that prove this. Signs that you may have ignored, misunderstood, or even resisted. Life has a way of testing those who are destined for something greater. The struggles you have faced may not have been ordinary. They may have been relentless, one after another, as if the world itself was trying to break you. You may have wondered why your path has been so difficult, when others seem to walk through life with ease. You may have, but there is a reason. From the very beginning, those who are called by God often endure extraordinary challenges. Look at the great figures throughout history. Many of them suffered loss, rejection, betrayal, and hardship before stepping into their destiny. This is not a coincidence. Struggles refine, shape, and prepare a person for the weight of their calling. Without them, there would be no depth, no wisdom, no resilience. When you go through trials, you begin to understand the world in a way that others do not. You learn perseverance because you have had no choice but to keep going. You develop strength because weakness was never an option. The pain you have endured has given you a perspective that cannot be taught in books or classrooms. It has been ingrained into you through experience. It is through suffering that character is built, faith is deepened, and purpose is revealed. You may have found yourself questioning why certain things happened to you. Why were you the one who had to experience loss? Why were you the one who had to struggle financially, emotionally, or spiritually, while others seemed to prosper? Why did the doors that opened so easily for others slam shut in your face? These questions can be overwhelming, and at times they may even make you feel abandoned. But if you look closely, you will see that every hardship you have endured has given you something valuable, an understanding, a lesson, a transformation. Many people live their entire lives in comfort, never experiencing the kind of deep challenges that force them to grow. But those who are anointed do not have the luxury of an easy life. They are called to something higher, and because of that, their journey is different. The more intense the struggle, the greater the calling. Some of the greatest warriors in history were once the most broken individuals. Their pain became the very thing that fueled their purpose. There have been times when you have felt completely alone in your battles, as if no one truly understands what you are going through. You may have cried out in frustration, feeling as though the weight of your circumstances was too much to bear. But somehow, despite it all, you are still here. You have endured things that would have destroyed others. You have walked through fire and emerged stronger, even if you don't realize it yet. The people around you may not see the depth of your struggles, but that does not mean they are insignificant. Often, the most powerful battles are fought in silence. The moments when you had to hold yourself together, when everything inside you was falling apart. The nights when you lay awake, wrestling with doubt and fear, the times when you had to keep moving forward despite feeling like you had nothing left to give. These are the moments that define you. Struggle is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of preparation. It is shaping you for what is to come. Every tear, every setback, every moment of pain has been part of a larger plan, one that you may not fully understand yet. But one day you will look back and see that every hardship was a stepping stone leading you to something greater. There are moments in life when you walk into a room full of people and still feel like an outsider. No matter how much you try to blend in, something inside you feels different, as if you were placed in the world but not fully a part of it. This feeling isn't something you can explain easily to others because on the surface there may be no logical reason for it. You may look like everyone else, talk like everyone else, and even try to engage in the same conversations, but deep down, there's a disconnect, a quiet awareness that you're not meant to walk the same path as those around you. This sense of not fitting in isn't just about social circles or personal interests. It runs deeper than that. It's as if you operate on a different frequency, seeing things others don't, feeling emotions more intensely, and questioning things that others accept without a second thought. You observe life differently, picking up on details that seem invisible to others. You think about purpose, meaning, and the weight of existence, while many around you are caught up in the surface-level distractions of the world. There may have been times in your life when you tried to suppress this feeling, forcing yourself to conform, to shrink yourself so that you could blend in. Perhaps you laughed at jokes that didn't resonate with you, or nodded along in conversations that felt empty just to avoid standing out. But no matter how much you tried, there was always a sense of disconnect. It was never about arrogance or superiority. It was simply a realization that the things that excite others don't stir your spirit in the same way. The desires that fuel most people, status, recognition, material gain, may feel empty to you, as if they are missing the essence of something greater. This sense of isolation can be difficult, especially when you crave connection. There may have been times when you questioned whether something was wrong with you, wondering why you couldn't just enjoy the same things everyone else seemed to enjoy. You may have wished to be normal, to silence the restless thoughts that constantly push you toward deeper meaning and purpose. But no matter how much you try, the feeling remains. From a young age, you may have noticed that you think differently from those around you. While others were content with surface-level understanding, you wanted to dig deeper. You wanted to ask questions that others avoided. You wanted to understand not just what people believe, but why they believe it. This curiosity, this hunger for truth, has always set you apart. At times, this has made relationships difficult. You may have struggled to find people who truly understand you, while others can easily form connections over shared interests or casual conversations. You seek something deeper, a connection that is built on understanding, depth, and purpose. This has made friendships complicated because most people prefer comfort over challenge, familiarity over growth. You, on the other hand, are drawn to transformation, to conversations that stir the soul, to ideas that break the boundaries of conventional thinking. There have been moments when you have felt like an outcast, not because others rejected you outright, but because you could sense that you were different. Maybe you've been misunderstood, labeled as too serious, too intense, or too deep for certain groups. Maybe you found yourself struggling to relate to the things that bring excitement to others. It's not that you don't appreciate joy, but your mind constantly searches for something beyond the ordinary, something meaningful, something lasting. Sometimes this feeling of being different manifests in an unexplainable loneliness, even when you are surrounded by people. It's as if you are living in a world that doesn't fully recognize who you are or what you carry inside you. You may have tried to explain it, but words often fall short because the depth of what you feel is something that goes beyond simple definitions. And yet, despite this sense of not belonging, there is something inside you that refuses to conform. No matter how much you try to blend in, a part of you knows that you were never meant to follow the same path as everyone else. There is something unique about your journey, something that sets you apart in ways you may not fully understand yet. There is something inside you that refuses to be silent, an unshakable feeling that you were meant for more. Even if you cannot define it clearly, even if you do not have all the answers, the feeling lingers like a quiet whisper in the depths of your soul. It is not just a passing thought or a fleeting ambition. It is something much deeper, something that has been there for as long as you can remember. It often shows up as restlessness, an inability to be fully satisfied with what seems to make others content. While some people can go through life simply existing, following routines without questioning anything beyond them, you feel something tugging at you, urging you to look beyond the surface. Even when everything in your life appears fine on the outside, there is an unexplainable sense that you are not where you are supposed to be, that something greater awaits you. This feeling can be both exhilarating and frustrating. On one hand, it gives you a sense of hope, an inner knowing that your life is supposed to mean something beyond the ordinary. On the other hand, it can feel like a burden, especially when you do not know exactly what it is that you are meant to do. You may have tried different paths, pursued various interests, or even achieved success in certain areas. Yet none of them have fully satisfied that inner calling. It is as if no matter how much you accomplish, there is still a lingering question: is this it? Sometimes, this sense of purpose makes you feel out of place among those who do not share the same depth of conviction. While others are content with simply getting through the day, you crave meaning, impact, and significance. You long to create, to build, to contribute in a way that matters. It is not enough for you to just survive. You feel an urge to leave something behind, to make a difference, to fulfill whatever it is that you were put on this earth to do. There may have been moments when you tried to ignore this feeling, telling yourself that you should just be grateful for what you have. But no matter how much you push it aside, it always returns, reminding you that your journey is not meant to be ordinary. It shows up in quiet moments, in unexpected thoughts, in the deep longing you feel when you see others living with passion and purpose. It is the reason you are drawn to stories of those who overcame obstacles to fulfill their calling, the reason you resonate with messages about destiny, the reason you cannot settle for a life of mere existence. At times, the uncertainty of it all can feel overwhelming. You may wonder why, if you are meant for something greater, the path is not clearer. Why do you feel this calling so strongly, yet struggle to define it? Why do you sense a deep purpose within you, yet feel lost when trying to figure out what to do next? This is where many people give up, resigning themselves to a life of comfort and familiarity because the unknown feels too difficult to navigate. But for you, that is not an option. Even when you try to convince yourself otherwise, the desire for something greater continues to burn within you. This deep sense of purpose is not just about what you do, it is about who you are. It is not limited to a career, a title, or a specific achievement. It is something woven into your very being, something that influences the way you think, the way you interact with the world, the way you see possibilities where others see limitations. It is why you are drawn to certain ideas, why certain experiences have shaped you more deeply than others, why certain challenges have felt less like obstacles and more like preparation. There may have been times when you felt like you were running out of time, like the weight of this purpose was pressing on you without a clear direction forward. But purpose does not always reveal itself in an instant. It unfolds over time, often through the very struggles and uncertainties that make you question it. The confusion, the restlessness, the feeling of being stuck. All of these are part of the process, shaping you in ways you may not fully understand yet. You are not alone in this journey. Many of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries in history have experienced this same deep, unshakable sense of purpose long before they ever knew what to do with it. They too felt the frustration of not having clear answers, the loneliness of feeling different, the challenge of carrying a burden they could not yet define. But they did not ignore it. They embraced it, even when it was unclear, because they knew that the calling within them was real. There is something about you that people notice. Even if you don't fully understand it yourself. They come to you with their problems, their questions, their uncertainties, as if they instinctively recognize that you have something to offer. Maybe it's the way you listen, really listen, not just to respond but to understand. Maybe it's the way you see things differently, offering a perspective that others may not have considered. Or maybe it's something deeper, something intangible, a presence that makes people feel safe, heard, and valued. This has likely been happening for as long as you can remember. Even as a child, people may have confided in you, trusted you with their thoughts and emotions in a way they didn't with others. It wasn't because you were the loudest or the most dominant in the room, but because there was something about your presence that made them feel understood. Whether you realized it or not, you carried a sense of wisdom, an ability to see beyond the surface, to discern what others were struggling to articulate, to put into words the things they had been wrestling with internally. Sometimes this has felt like a gift. You have had the privilege of being there for people in their most vulnerable moments, helping them find clarity when they were lost, offering them comfort when they were broken. It is a powerful thing to be the person others turn to in times of need, to be a source of stability when the world around them feels chaotic. You have seen people open up to you in ways they never have with anyone else, sharing their fears, their doubts, their dreams, because they somehow trust that you will not judge them. But other times, this has felt like a burden. There have been moments when you have felt emotionally drained, carrying the weight of other people's struggles on your shoulders. You may have wondered why people come to you with their problems when you have struggles of your own. You may have longed for someone to pour into you the way you pour into others. There have been times when you wished you could just shut it off, ignore the unspoken cries for help, and focus on yourself for once, and yet, no matter how much you try, you cannot turn away. Something within you compels you to be there, to listen, to help, even when you are running on empty. There is a reason for this. People do not seek wisdom from just anyone. They are drawn to you because there is something in you that they need. An understanding, a depth, an insight that goes beyond what they can find elsewhere. You may not even realize how much of an impact you have, because what feels normal to you is extraordinary to others. The way you think, the way you process emotions, the way you find meaning in things that others overlook, these are not common traits. They are markers of something greater, something divine. It is not just about intelligence or knowledge, it is about discernment. You have an ability to see past the surface, to recognize patterns in people's behavior, to sense what is really going on even when they are not saying it outright. Sometimes you know things before people tell you. You can sense when someone is in pain even when they are smiling. You can hear the unsaid words behind their carefully chosen sentences. It is as if you have been given a heightened awareness of human nature, an ability to read between the lines, to understand what lies beneath. At times this has made you feel different from others. While people around you may take things at face value, you see beyond that. You recognize when someone is hiding their pain behind laughter. You notice the exhaustion in their eyes, the hesitation in their voice, the silent struggles they are too afraid to voice. And because you see these things, you feel an unspoken responsibility to help, even when no one has asked you to. This gift is not without its challenges. There have been moments when you have offered guidance only to have it ignored or misunderstood. You have watched people walk straight into the very situations you tried to warn them about. You have given advice out of love only to be met with resistance. And yet, when they find themselves in trouble, they return to you, seeking the very wisdom they once dismissed. It can be frustrating, even painful, to see people struggle when you saw the warning signs all along. But this is the nature of wisdom. It is often recognized only in hindsight. There have also been times when you have felt the weight of expectations. People see you as strong, as capable, as someone who has the answers. They come to you assuming that you have it all figured out, unaware that you too have moments of doubt and confusion. You may have felt the pressure to always have the right words, to always be the stable one, to never show weakness because others rely on you. But the truth is, even those who guide others need guidance themselves. Even those who carry wisdom need a place to lay down their burdens. Despite these challenges, there is something deeply fulfilling about knowing that your presence makes a difference in people's lives. Whether through a conversation, a word of encouragement, or simply the way you carry yourself, you leave an impact. You may never fully know how many lives you have influenced, how many people have held on to your words in their darkest moments, how many have been strengthened simply by being around you. But make no mistake, people are drawn to you for a reason. There are things you have been through that would have broken others, situations that seemed impossible, pain that felt unbearable, and moments when giving up seemed like the only option. But somehow you made it through. You have walked through storms that others wouldn't have survived. You have carried burdens that no one knew about, fought battles in silence, and endured hardships that could have destroyed you. And yet you are still here. Maybe you don't even fully recognize the strength it took to keep going. When you were in the middle of it, survival wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. There was no time to think about whether you were strong enough. You simply had to push forward. While others may look at your life from the outside and see only the person you are today, they have no idea what it took for you to get here. They don't know about the nights you spent crying, the times you had to pick yourself up when no one else was there, the days when you carried the weight of everything alone. They don't know about the sacrifices you made, the wounds you hid, the battles you fought behind closed doors. At some point you may have wondered why your life has been so difficult. Why does it seem like you've had to struggle more than others? Why have you had to endure so much while others seem to have it easier? These questions may have haunted you, especially when you saw people around you thriving while you were just trying to survive. But the truth is, not everyone is built for the journey you are on. The challenges you have faced were not random. They were preparing you, shaping you, and refining you into the person you are meant to become. There have been times when you thought you wouldn't make it, when the weight of it all felt too much, when the pain was overwhelming, when every door seemed to be closed. You may have reached a point where you felt like you had nothing left to give, where you questioned if you had the strength to go on. But despite everything you did, you kept moving forward, even when it hurt. You kept fighting, even when you were exhausted. You found a way to keep going when others would have given up. People often admire strength, but they don't always understand what it takes to become strong. Strength is not something you are born with. It is something that is built through adversity, through suffering, through overcoming what was meant to break you. Every hardship you have endured has added to your resilience. Every setback has forced you to grow. Every moment of pain has shaped you in ways you may not even fully realize yet. Sometimes you look back at the things you have survived and wonder how you made it through. Maybe there were moments when you felt completely alone, when it seemed like no one understood what you were going through. Maybe you had to put on a brave face while carrying pain that no one else could see. And yet, through all of it, you refused to be defeated. Even in your lowest moments, there was something inside you that would not allow you to quit. You may not have always felt strong, but strength is not about feeling powerful. It is about continuing even when you feel weak. It is about standing up after being knocked down. It is about refusing to let your past define you, refusing to let your circumstances dictate your future. You have been through things that would have destroyed others, and yet here you are, still standing, still fighting, still moving forward. People may not always recognize what you have survived, They may not see the battles you have fought, the losses you have endured, or the pain you have carried. But that doesn't mean your journey hasn't been significant. Some of the strongest warriors walk among us unnoticed because their greatest victories were won in silence. They are the ones who have faced unimaginable pain and still found a way to keep going. They are the ones who have endured loss, betrayal, hardship, and heartbreak, yet refuse to be defined by their suffering. At times, you may have wished for an easier path. You may have longed for a life without so many struggles, without so much pain. But easy paths do not create strong people. The very things that try to break you have become the foundation of your strength. The very storms that were meant to destroy you have only deepened your resilience. There is something different about those who have survived what others could not. They carry a quiet wisdom, an unshakable spirit, a strength that cannot be taught. They see the world differently because they have walked through darkness and come out on the other side. They do not take life for granted because they know what it means to struggle, to fight, to survive. You are one of those people. Whether you fully recognize it or not, you are living proof of resilience. You are walking evidence that even the heaviest burdens can be carried, that even the deepest wounds can heal, that even the most impossible battles can be won. The things that were meant to destroy you only made you stronger. And while others may never fully understand what you have been through, the strength you have gained from surviving it will always be a part of you. There is a fire inside you, an unwavering drive that compels you to seek the truth no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient it may be. It's not just a passing interest or a fleeting concern, it's a deep, almost primal urge that drives everything you do. When you see injustice, whether it's on a grand scale or in small, everyday moments, something inside you stirs. It's as if a part of your soul can't rest until the truth is uncovered, until what is right is acknowledged and the wrong is addressed. You've likely felt this urgency for as long as you can remember, this sense that the world should be better, more equitable, and more truthful. From a young age, you may have found yourself questioning things that others accepted without question. When others simply went along with the crowd, you were the one asking, "But why?" You wanted to understand the deeper reasons behind actions, behind beliefs, behind systems. The surface-level answers never satisfied you, and you often found yourself digging deeper, looking beyond the surface to uncover what lay hidden. This passion for truth often makes you stand apart from others. It can be uncomfortable because not everyone is as committed to uncovering the truth as you are. People often prefer comfort over confrontation, and sometimes the truth is inconvenient. It's easier to ignore what's wrong, to pretend that everything is fine, to turn a blind eye to the injustices that others suffer. But for you, ignoring it feels like betrayal, not just to others, but to yourself. You cannot live with that sense of complacency because it goes against everything you stand for. You feel a deep sense of responsibility when you see others being wronged. It's as if you are compelled to speak up, to right the wrongs, to shine a light on the shadows that others choose to ignore. You don't do this for recognition or praise. You do it because it's part of who you are. There is a moral compass within you that cannot be ignored, a voice that refuses to be silenced when injustice occurs. Whether it's standing up for someone who is being mistreated or speaking out against a system that perpetuates inequality, you feel a deep, unshakable need to act. This drive can sometimes be isolating. You may find that you often stand alone in your fight for what's right. While others may quietly go along with things that seem unjust, you cannot. You feel the weight of each injustice, each lie, each unfair action, and it sits heavily on your heart. But this weight is also a source of strength for you. It drives you forward, fuels your passion, and motivates you to keep pushing for what is just, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. There have been times when you've questioned whether your fight for truth and justice is worth it. You've seen the resistance, the pushback, and the criticism that often comes when you speak out. You've witnessed how easily people can be swayed by misinformation, or how some would rather maintain the status quo than face the discomfort that truth can bring. It can feel discouraging, especially when your efforts seem to have little effect. But even in those moments, there is something deep within you that refuses to let go of what you believe is right. You understand that justice is not always immediate and truth is not always acknowledged right away, but that doesn't stop you from continuing to pursue it. This sense of moral clarity you carry within you isn't just about being right, it's about seeking fairness for all, about creating a world where people can live with dignity and respect. You want to live in a world where truth is honored, where justice isn't a privilege reserved for the few, but a right for all. You know that in order to build that world, people like you must speak up, must stand tall, must be unafraid to challenge the wrongs they see, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular. Your passion for truth and justice doesn't just manifest in big dramatic moments. It shows up in the small everyday actions. It's in the way you treat people with fairness, in the way you don't tolerate lies or deceit, in the way you work tirelessly for causes you believe in. You don't shy away from difficult conversations, and you don't let fear silence your voice when something isn't right. You may not always win, and there may be times when the truth is harder to see than you would like, but that doesn't deter you. Your commitment remains unwavering, even in the face of adversity. There is an inner peace that comes with living in alignment with your values, and this peace fuels your fight for what's right. You don't need external validation or praise for your efforts. The satisfaction you find is in knowing that you are being true to yourself, in knowing that you are doing what you believe is right, regardless of the outcome. Your passion for truth and justice is not a temporary obsession, it's a lifelong commitment. You are not easily swayed or discouraged because your convictions are built on a foundation of deep, unshakable beliefs. Sometimes, this passion for truth and justice can feel like a heavy burden, especially when you see how far the world still has to go. But the fact that you feel this way is a testament to the strength of your character. It means that you are someone who is not content to accept things as they are. Someone who is willing to push for change, even when it feels impossible. You carry within you the power to inspire others, to lead by example, to show them that it is possible to stand up for what is right, even when the world seems full of wrong. There is a feeling you can't quite explain, an invisible weight that presses down on your spirit, a tension in the air that seems to follow you no matter where you go. It's not something you can see, but you feel it deep within you. It's as if a force beyond your understanding is at work, subtly trying to push you off course, cloud your thoughts, and weaken your resolve. At times it feels like you are fighting a battle that no one else can see. A spiritual battle where the attacks are not physical, but they are just as real and just as exhausting. It starts with small doubts, whispers in your mind that question everything you believe, thoughts that seem to come from nowhere, that suggest you are not worthy, that tell you your efforts are futile or that you are destined to fail. These thoughts are insidious, creeping in when you are most vulnerable, planting seeds of fear and insecurity. You may try to dismiss them, but they linger, growing louder the more you try to push them away. At times they feel almost like a voice that is not your own, trying to sow confusion and doubt in your heart. Then there are the moments when your emotional state seems to turn on you. It's as if, for no apparent reason, you find yourself sinking into despair, anxiety, or anger. Your peace is stolen without warning, and you can't seem to hold on to the joy or sense of stability that you once had. It's not because of any external circumstance. It's something deeper, something spiritual that reaches into the core of your being. You may try to rationalize it, telling yourself that you're just stressed or tired, but deep down you know that there is something more at play. There are days when everything seems to go wrong, as if the world itself is conspiring against you. Your plans fall apart, your efforts are met with resistance, and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to move forward. You encounter obstacles that seem inexplicable, challenges that you can't overcome no matter how much you pray, work, or persevere. You might wonder why everything is so difficult, when you're simply trying to do what is right, what you feel called to do. This relentless opposition begins to wear on your spirit, leaving you questioning if you are truly on the right path. At times you may feel spiritually exhausted, as though you are constantly being pulled in different directions. The attacks are subtle but relentless, wearing down your will to continue. You may feel isolated, as though no one understands the internal struggle you are facing. Those around you may not see the spiritual battles you are fighting. They only see the outward appearance, unaware of the relentless force trying to derail your peace, your purpose, and your sense of direction. The resistance you experience doesn't just come from within, it often manifests externally as well. People who you thought were supportive suddenly become distant or critical. Situations that seemed promising turn sour, and you find yourself facing unexpected challenges that seem designed to discourage you. The more you try to move forward, the more resistance you seem to encounter. It's as though the universe itself is pushing back against your every step, and no matter how much effort you put in, things continue to fall apart. Sometimes this resistance can feel so intense that you question your faith. You may ask yourself why you are experiencing so much opposition when you are simply trying to live with integrity, trying to make a positive difference, trying to be the person you are meant to be. The spiritual attacks you face can make you feel like you are being persecuted for your beliefs, as though there is a force working against your growth, against your calling, and against your destiny. And then there are the moments of intense temptation, moments when you feel the pull toward old habits, old ways of thinking, or old relationships that you know are not good for you. These temptations seem to appear at your weakest points, offering temporary relief from the pressure and strain you are under. They promise comfort, but ultimately lead to destruction. You know that these temptations are not just random, they are part of the spiritual resistance you are facing, trying to pull you away from your path, away from your purpose, and away from your truth. This spiritual warfare can feel exhausting. It's not something that can be seen with the eyes, but it wears on you just the same. It seeps into your thoughts, your emotions, your physical body, leaving you drained, discouraged, and questioning your every move. You may feel like you are fighting a battle that no one else can understand, a battle that sometimes feels like it will never end. But in the midst of all this resistance, there is also a quiet knowing that keeps you going, a deep sense of inner strength that refuses to be shaken. Even when the attacks seem overwhelming, there is something within you that reminds you of your purpose, your calling, and the power that you possess. It's not that the resistance disappears, it's that you begin to recognize it for what it is, understanding that it is a sign that you are on the right path, that you are making progress. You have learned over time that these attacks are not a reflection of your weakness, but a reflection of your strength. The fact that you continue to press forward despite the spiritual resistance is a testament to your resilience, to your unwavering commitment to truth, and to your faith. Even when everything around you seems to be falling apart, you stand firm, knowing that the battle is not yours alone to fight. You may not always see the victory in the moment, but you trust that it is coming. You know that every attack is simply a sign that you are getting closer to the fulfillment of your purpose. If any of these signs resonate with you, understand this: you are not ordinary, you are not forgotten, and you are certainly not a mistake. You have been anointed for something greater, and the time has come for you to embrace it. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for someone to validate you. God has already placed His hand upon you, and when God calls you, No one can uncall you. Now rise up and walk in the anointing that has been in you all along. The world is waiting.